It seems like nothing is off the table for MSNBC host Joy Reid when it comes to slamming the Republican Party. She caused an uproar when she went after Congressman Steve Scalise while he was hospitalized after the assassination attempt.
It's a delicate thing because, you know, obviously everybody is wishing the congressman well and hoping that he recovers. But Steve Scalise has a history that we've all been forced to sort of ignore on race.
Now she's at it again, lashing out the entire GOP this time.
Donald Trump didn't invent this. He didn't invent this Republican Party. He just saw the trends and took advantage of it. This is a Republican Party that's been built on resentment and a sense of victimhood, a sense of persecution, almost a persecution complex for more than 40 years, almost 50 years, going back to the dawn of the Civil Rights Movement when they felt persecuted by the world.
So, Megan, you know the GOP, and I'm going to ask, do you think that this is a rational argument to say, oh, the GOP says, oh, you know, we don't like Hollywood, we can't stand the college elites and the professors, people in the mainstream media are biased against this? Is that a legitimate argument as we hear it from Joy Reid?
No, that woman knows nothing about GOP politics. I would like to know the last time she left New York City and actually talked to a Republican voter in their home state, number one. Number two, the entire fuel that fuels the Democratic Party is victimhood right now, number one. So it's hilarious that she would even point that at Republicans. Across the country right now at Democratic dinners, they're removing Presidents Andrew Jackson from all meetings, Andrew Jackson and Jefferson, because they think that they are racist and they don't want them in their dinners annual. Today, a bunch of
I didn't
congressmen
understand. What do you mean?
They're removing them from the platform because they don't want Andrew Jackson and Jefferson around.
The annual dinners,
you mean? Dinners.
Yeah, got it.
And going forward today, a bunch of Democratic congresswomen paraded around sleeveless because they wanted to show that the sexist regime, which, by the way, happened under Nancy Pelosi of the dress code, in Congress, ended up being removed today. So I just think the entire Democratic platform is about victimhood, and the idea that she knows anything about Republican politics is hilarious.
What would you say, Lisa?
Well, I just think how gross and distasteful were her comments about Steve Scalise. And then also, to Megan's point, it's the Democratic Party that plays this victim card constantly. I mean, what did Jennifer Palmieri do after the election? She stood at the Harvard University event with Kellyanne Conway, and she proceeded to blame sexism, racism, on the reason that President Trump won. I mean, this is the card that the Democratic card that they continuously play, if I could talk, is the victim card. I mean, that's constantly the only card that they're playing.
Well, just for a second, let's say, imagine that she had some basis for saying,
but she doesn't.
The Republican Party celebrates their grievance. Is that fair?
No. In what context? How do they do that?
Well, I just said to you, Hollywood's against us, say the Republicans. The academics in the colleges are against us. Black Lives Matter, against us.
I'm sorry, but it's the left is in love with the idea of being victims. Their entire platform is on the onus that you're a victim in one context or another. So the idea that Republicans are doing that is not only ironic, but wildly inaccurate on the platform of the Republican Party. And she may not like why President Trump won because he actually talked to voters in the middle of the country and listened to their problems and talked about issues like coal and jobs and ISIS instead of things like trans rights that obviously don't have the same breadth of effect on voters that talking about real issues does. But it is none of her concern. What she needs to be concerned about is talking to the voters that they lost. And when you're in this bubble at MSNBC judging conservatives in the middle of the country, you're sure as hell not going to win them back over.
So, Jesse, part of her argument, again, trying to really understand what she's saying is, Donald Trump right now is being enabled by people like Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, and others in the Congress. They won't say a word against him, and that Donald Trump is so powerful, he's made the GOP accept anything, that nothing he does is objectionable to any Republican at the moment.
I mean, I think the Republican Party feels unfairly persecuted by Hollywood, by the media, by the Democratic Party, by the IRS.
Yeah, keep going.
I mean, I could keep going all day. So, and I think that's a justifiable emotion. At the same time, I happen to agree with my colleagues here that the Democratic Party is actually the party of victimhood. The Democratic Party has been fertilized by victimization for many, many years. If you think about it, the identity politics, as Greg likes to talk about, it's all about victimhood. You have blacks are the victims of white oppression. Gays are the victims of Christians. Women are the victims of men. Muslims are the victims of our government. Big government liberalism is predicated on defending the victims of capitalism. Big banks, big oil, big pharma prey on victims. And since socially, liberals set up a dynamic where they have to swoop in and save these victims from these people. So the poor are the victims of the rich. Criminals are the victims of police, and then illegal immigrants are the victims of ICE. So it's all about predator versus prey, and then you need big government to come in and then save these people and make them dependent, so they need them for votes.
It's a political, exactly. It's a political strategy.
The last person I saved to go to on our panel this Friday night is Mr. I Hate These People. Greg Gutfeld.
I love these people.
You do?
Why?
I'm always troubled by it's so interesting that everybody named Joy is always bitter and angry. I only know two people named Joy. It's Joy Behar and Joy, what's her last name? Joy Reid. They're just angry people. Look, conservatives or Republicans, they didn't create safe spaces on campuses.
Yeah.
They didn't define the term microaggression. They didn't create speech codes. These are all coming from the progressive, or what you could call now is the regressive left. Right now, identity politics is falling apart because it's finally being exposed. When you look at Evergreen College, that scandal. So I think what's happening is she's projecting her own sins as a defense because she might feel that her belief system is crumbling. Right now in Canada, they passed a law that you can go to prison if you use the wrong pronoun. This is the first time you can go to jail if you don't use a word, if you don't use the right word. They're mandating language. This is scary stuff. This is born from the oppressor versus oppressed ideology, the victimhood ideology is that your words can actually hurt. So this is actually a dangerous thing, and I think that because people are waking up to it, she feels threatened, and that's why she's projecting.
But Greg, just indulge me for a second. Don't you think it's true when you scream, I hate these people, that lots of people, Republicans, conservatives say, thank God, because I hate these people too. And this is a Republican perspective. You hear it on talk radio all the time. I can't believe these academic professors. They're so left-wing. I hate these Black Lives Matter people.
If you look at I've never done I hate these people on Black Lives Matter. I've never done that. I do it about people texting when they're crossing the street. I hate these people is based on specific behaviors that I find annoying in supermarkets.
What about the Hollywood
Which are universally annoying despite what color your skin is, what sex you are.
My hate transcends any kind of identity or pigment or ethnicity or religion. I hate everybody equally.
Equal opportunity hater.
But it is the Democratic Party that is constantly seeing people through the lens, as you had mentioned, through black, white, whatever your sex is. And Hillary Clinton was the one that ran a campaign on there's a special place in hell for women that don't vote for her. So please spare me Joy Reid. Go be joyful. Maybe change your attitude.